everybody. It's a Wednesday. That means only one thing. It's time now for Supernatural News and Parashare right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. It is Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. With me is my co-hostess. She is the queen of the paranormal. I believe I can say that now that certain people are, rest in peace, no longer with us.
Wait, who's no longer with us?
Rosemary Ellen Guiley. Wasn't she the queen of the paranormal?
Yeah. Oh,
I'm not putting...
I was thinking someone recent.
Oh, no. Who were you thinking?
And I don't know. That's why I was like, who's died? And I didn't know.
I'm not trying to put anybody in the grave that's already above ground recently.
Okay. Well, everyone's been dying on me lately. Every time I turn on the television.
Oh, don't tell me that. Yeah, we will talk about somebody.
Lonnie Anderson, hello.
I know. We'll talk about recent people who have passed here during our newscast. Don't worry about it. We jumped in early here. But ladies and gentlemen, okay, maybe I jumped by calling her the queen of the paranormal. I'll call her the princess of the paranormal. And does that work?
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Princess P.
Princess P of the paranormal. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, Mallie Fox. Hi, Mallie. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? You jump-started my heart. I was like, oh, my God, who died?
It's a good way of getting us going today.
That's usually how I answer the phone when my mom calls. I'm like, who died?
No.
She never calls me.
I've had one of those weekends too, actually. Unfortunately, I mentioned to people earlier in the week that we would kind of flesh out a little bit about John Ward passed away. For those of you who may have seen him and his wife Maria Nielsen on the Travel Channel, a couple of archaeologists who made their name here a little bit in Minnesota, but then also via England, Sweden, more, but they did their work in Egypt, and I believe is it Gebel El Sisila? I believe is how it's pronounced. They had found a new chapter, essentially, in Egyptian history, and it was being covered by the Travel Channel and by Discovery. And I believe you can still find the specials on Discovery Plus. John was a good brother. He really was. And a good friend. He had a pilot at one time with Scotty Roberts and with Rocky Stucci. They had a pilot they were trying to get out there for many, many years. It was an alternate history pilot. It was very entertaining. And the only problem was there were a few networks that wanted to try and take a swing at it. Now, History and Discovery wanted to take a swing at it at one time. And they said, this is great. What do we do with this? Come back in 6 months. Mm-hmm. But the two of them, their sense of humor was very rich. They've been on this show a few times. My only challenge when I had them on this show was, how do I limit them to below 3 hours?
Yeah.
Because they could go. They also had their own podcast out there. But John will be missed. He was. I got to tell the story real quick, and then we'll get into it, Mallie, because I thought this story was just incredibly funny. It was at John and Maria's wedding here in the Twin Cities, and their oldest daughter Freya was very young at the time. I want to say she was 2 or 3 at the time, I think, when they got married. I'm not quite sure. But she was just a little one, but very intelligent. And you got to keep in mind, maybe she was 3 or 4. I'm trying to remember. But she was, she's walking and talking. And Freya was raised to speak multiple languages. So she knew English, she knew Swedish, and she could also speak whatever tongue they speak in Egypt. Forgive me for not knowing what it is. Mm-hmm. But she thought June bugs were scarabs.
Okay, I could kind of see that. Right.
I mean, they're similar, right? Mm-hmm. So at the time I was on crutches, right, of John and Maria's wedding, because I had I had an ulcerated wound on my Charcot foot. So we went over for the wedding. And of course, it's in the summertime, and June bugs are aplenty, especially when the sun goes down, right? You know how they kind of rain out of the sky, you know?
Yep.
So we're outside, and the wedding was outside. Gorgeous, gorgeous day. And Freya's outside, and she's, playing and frolicking and having a good time. And all of a sudden she goes, "Oh, no." She has kind of the British accent like her father. She goes, "Papa, scarab, scarab." And she yanks my crutch out from underneath my armpit. And she grabs this thing like a jackhammer. Keep in mind, the crutch is about 3 times the size she is, right? Mm-hmm. But she grabs it and swings it and crunch, takes out this June bug with one fell swoop and puts the plunger right on top of the thing and crunches it, right? And she's swinging it like a jackhammer and scarab, scarab, scarab. And she's killing these June bugs with my crutch. And John, being ever the British gentleman, just goes, "Oh no, Freya. Oh no, darling. No. We don't do that. No. Give Timmy back his crutch, darling. No. Just not getting upset at all. No. Just oh no, darling. Give Tim back his crutch, please.
No.
So, but I couldn't help but laugh. Here she is freaking out and scarab. She's crushing June bugs and freaking out. And John's like, no, darling, give Timmy back his.
Polite as she's murdering bugs.
She's murdering bugs and
violence.
Quickly before Timmy falls over and dies. Quickly, quickly before he loses his leg, darling, please. But that was John. So it was quite dry and quite the good sense of humor. But he had a wonderful sense of humor, a wonderful human being. So John passed away, unfortunately, from brain cancer. But he fought valiantly. There were many starts and stops with chemo, and he did spend quite a bit of time with the family before he passed. I have a feeling that he tried to prepare them as much as he could. Nothing prepares you. Keep in mind, nothing prepares you before the end. But he will be missed. His work, it looks like, will continue. I was trying to do a little bit of research. Mm-hmm. At one point, Maria had a grant in through the University of Liverpool, and it looked like they were shooting for. It's been pulled. Well, the program that Maria was starting through the University of Liverpool was supposed to start up again in October of 2025 and go into 2026 to go back to Egypt. I know that she was going to try to do that and do it without John, knowing that John was not well. It looks like that might have been pulled in lieu of the fact that John wasn't doing well. So I'm not sure that they're still going to continue that, or if she's going to continue that in lieu of John being passing away now. So, but we'll keep you updated, because the work that they were doing out there was substantial. It was important. Really, it was changing the face of what we know as far as Egyptian history goes. Mm-hmm. And the two of them really were doing important work out there. So if you do see the specials on Discovery Plus, I encourage you to go watch them. They're important specials that really do redefine Egyptian history. So rest in peace, John. I'm going to miss you, brother. I love you, and I'll see you on the other side. So
yeah.
Aww. You had mentioned Lonnie Anderson, who, again, a Minnesota native, died at the age of 79, just a few days before her birthday. Yeah, another sad story. But keep in mind, I don't think a lot of us remember or choose to remember the fact that she and Burt Reynolds had this tumultuous divorce that lasted almost decades. I
know. Isn't that weird? Yeah. I didn't know that either until I read up on that.
Yeah. I think we think that, well, they split, but maybe it took like maybe a year and they were done. And then she went on. I didn't even realize she went on to marry someone else.
I'm trying to think. I think I knew that, but what I didn't know was that he had like a deep love. What was her? Was it Sally Fields?
Yes.
Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Burt
like
Reynolds.
they had they had a close relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they had well, ever since the Smokey and the Bandit stuff, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I found it fascinating that and I didn't know that Bert and Lonnie had this son.
Oh, I didn't know they had a child.
Yeah, they had a child.
Oh.
Yeah. Which again, the things you find out when someone passes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things where you go, I had no idea, right?
Yeah.
You just you kind of take that walk with someone when they pass, and you find out these little tidbits about someone. Yeah, her birthday would have been yesterday. Would have been August 5th, which is also my mom's 80th birthday. I mentioned that yesterday on the show, that it was Mom's birthday yesterday.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. But yeah, she died on August 3rd at 79, just a couple days away from her 80th. She was 79 at the time. Their child is I'm trying to grab his name here.
Well, he'd have to be what, in his 50s?
Yeah, I want to say he was. Let's see here. I'm just grabbing the story from People Magazine.
Yeah, no problem. I just can't see Bert being a father.
I think that was part of the problem.
Oh.
Yeah. Bert was although he was a great on-screen actor, he was not a great family guy, that's for sure. The son's name is Quentin.
Okay.
Yeah. Quentin walked his mom down the aisle when she wed her second husband in 2008.
Okay. Because wasn't she an actress at like the Log Theater?
Yes.
Isn't that how she got her start or something like that in Excelsior?
I believe so. Yeah. She also, she went to high school over in the St. Paul school system, just outside of St. Paul. But believe it or not, she met her second husband at a movie premiere in Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
And they posed for a photo together. So she's always kind of hung around this area, even though she did go out to Hollywood. But she's always kind of come back and helped out where she could. Here in Minneapolis, she's come back and she's done lectures for different. They adopted Quentin.
Oh, okay.
She and Bert did. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. It says here that Anderson was married 4 times. First, Bruce Hasselberg, with whom she welcomed daughter Deidre, so she had a daughter, followed by Ross Bickle and the late Burt Reynolds, with whom she adopted son Quentin. And at the time of her death, she was married to Bob Flick, whom she married in 2008. Yeah. And she and Bob were quite happy. Mm-hmm. They had quite the happy marriage. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So in the end, it was a great ending for her. I mean, a great end to the end of her life. But yeah. But in fact, I think it was Entertainment Tonight had said something about they had seen her out about a week and a half, 2 weeks before she had passed, and they said she was looking quite well.
Okay.
Yeah, she was out and about and looking good, and it was kind of a surprise. So that she had passed. So kind of sad.
Yeah. I just loved her character on WKRP.
Yes. Yeah, a classic character at that. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And and also she was in Stroker Ace with Burt Reynolds as well. Interesting fact, and we'll wrap this up as far as Lonnie Anderson went. She claimed that Burt was late making his $15,000 child support payments at the time that they were together. If you remember, she also released in her autobiography. She told quite a bit about Burt.
Okay.
And she had tried to remain tight-lipped about the divorce until 1995. And keep in mind, it had been decades since they had split. I'm sorry, not decades, but they had announced their split in June of 1993. She remained tight-lipped until 95. Then she started to let things out. The fact that he was also physically abusive with her several times. Yeah, he was not a nice man with her. He was allegedly under the influence of drugs as well at that time. The quote here from Lonnie was that Bert always said no one would ever believe me because he was Mr. Wonderful and the world loved him. Yeah.
What an ass.
Yeah. She also claimed he was frequently late in making those payments to her, per TMZ at the time. It wasn't until 2015 that Reynolds wrote a $154,520 check, officially finalizing his divorce from Anderson. So she had to wait almost 20 years.
Oh, my gosh.
To receive that money. Although the relationship ended on rocky terms, Anderson told Fox News after his death that Reynolds was a big part of my life for 12 years, adding that she would miss him and his great laugh. So, I mean, even in death, she was Minnesota nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give that to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Lonnie Anderson is gone at the age of 79. So a lot of big deaths in the last month or so.
Yep.
You know, a lot of major people just leaving us, which it's, you know, they say if you get to that age, you'll lose the people that you grew up worshiping, right?
Yeah.
So worshiping and adoring. That's kind of how things go. All right, we can lighten it up and get to some of the other news here, Mallie. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that. We can get into some interstellar news here. We got a big program today. We're going to answer some other questions here as well here, Mallie. A satellite, later on in the program, a satellite makes its own decisions up in space, which is an interesting thing here. We're going to talk locally here about a Minnesota man who murdered his neighbor because he thought he was an alien. That's quite
okay.
That's quite the interesting story. We'll tackle that today as well. In our AI segment today, I know one of your favorite things to tackle.
Yep.
We'll talk about the fact that ChatGPT has passed the I'm not a robot test.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that'll come up today. Of course, the story of the week that a lot of you are talking about and we'll talk about as well. Not only has Matt Rife and his partner purchased the Warren estate from Nesper, but one of the Warren family has weighed in on it.
Yes, I heard about that.
So we'll talk about that today. That'll come up after the interstellar news and the AI news because we want to get in depth with this. So we'll talk about that as well. Video clip shows Bigfoot in Coyote Ridge, California. We'll talk about that as well. And our palate cleanser today, well, we'll just put it like this. Sometimes the bigger they are, the louder they chirp.
Okay.
I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. All right, let's start it off up there in the skies. As an ex-NASA engineer claims that trillions of shape-shifting cloaked devices are hidden across Earth. That according to a very famous Harvard scientist we've talked about many times on the show. A former NASA engineer has made sensational claims that humans are not only reverse engineering alien technology, but that trillions of invisible extraterrestrial devices may already be hidden across the planet. Richard Bandurek, CEO of Field Propulsion Technologies and a former propulsion engineer for NASA and Lockheed Martin, shared the shocking allegations during a December 2024 episode of the Ecosystem Futures podcast, which has recently resurfaced on social media platform X. In the interview, Bandurek described covert efforts by the U.S. government and private research groups to study advanced materials allegedly recovered from unidentified flying objects. He claimed that many of the mysterious objects were not simply crash debris, but part of what he suspects is a vast invisible sensor network scattered across the world. The engineer admitted he didn't know who had placed the devices, but said they were unlike anything ever seen, not just decades ahead of current technology, but hundreds of years beyond it. He described one such device as a sliver of metal that could reconfigure and camouflage itself depending on its surroundings. It would cloak itself and try to blend into the environment, he said. That's how we could tell it was extraterrestrial. Despite the bold claims, Bandurek offered no physical evidence to support them. His comments have reignited online speculation about UFO disclosure, with some users calling 2024 the year disclosure really happened. The Pentagon, however, continues to deny the existence of any alien retrieval programs or confirm contact with extraterrestrial life. As for why some advanced group would be scattering tiny objects as part of a global monitoring system, the engineer claimed that extraterrestrials could be trying to influence human society. They have all sorts of functions. This really implies that maybe this group is actually manipulating our species, Bandurek warned in his first public comments. Since that 2024 podcast, he and other guests, including UFO researcher Hal Puthoff and former NASA advisor Dr. Anna Brady Estevez, have continued to share details of humanity's attempt to reverse engineer alien technology. He added that it was still possible to acquire the cloaked devices scattered around the world, but his access had been cut off by the groups he was working with after he chose to go public with what he knew in 2024. Bandurek had originally been recruited by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Air Force to work on classified projects aimed at analyzing systems from crashed UFOs. However, he noted that these technologies weren't being used by the U.S. government. Instead, it was non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, that were studying most of the recovered alien technology. Some of that work I was doing with NGOs was really exciting, he went on to say, but one of the other things that comes out of this is that these individuals, or whoever this group is that has this advanced technology, probably does not want us reverse engineering what they're working on, Bandurek explained. To stop other groups or governments from utilizing these materials, scientists discovered that the unknown metals could break apart into tiny particles that couldn't be reactivated. They were smart materials. You'd be looking at them and trying to reverse engineer them, and they would turn to dust, the engineer revealed. They would do it within a minute or two, and then you could take the dust, send it off, and get isotopic analysis done on it. And it turned out that they were extraterrestrial, he disclosed. According to Bandurek, NGO scientists continue to run into these problems, suggesting that the technology was carefully constructed so that no one would be able to duplicate what they found. Along with being able to self-destruct, scientists examining these materials also found that they could bend light around them, projecting the image of whatever was behind the extraterrestrial material in front, so no one could see what was there, according to Bandurek. Pardon me. Now, along with potentially trillions of smaller objects seeded throughout the world, the former government engineer revealed that the U.S. was aware of giant triangle-shaped craft that could see this cloaking technology as well. The giant triangles Bandurek referred to have been described by many people reporting UFO sightings of the years. The engineer noted that they were not ours, implying the triangles scientists were observing were extraterrestrial craft which appeared to vanish after being spotted. In April, former U.S. National Security official Matthew Brown disclosed that classified mission reports he read revealed how a large black triangle-shaped UFO decloaked out of thin air over several Russian vessels in the Pacific. The NGOs I worked with were trying to figure out how these rather large craft, which people called triangles, would be able to disappear on a dime, Bandurek explained. These triangles were taking whatever was behind them and actually projecting it in front of them, which might be equivalent to taking the light rays and bending it around the actual triangle, he added. Although Bandura did not reveal how many of these craft had been seen or were in the possession of the U.S. government, another guest of the Ecosystems Futures podcast did. Dr. Putoff noted that the U.S. military had recovered and were studying at least 10 extraterrestrial craft since the 1940s. With that being said, Mallie, what do you think? Do you think we're actually holding on to that minute of a technology? I mean, metal that can shapeshift and do its own thing and bend light and have that type of malleable, that malleable type of technology?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Do you?
It's a distinct possibility, although without having it in your hands, your grubby little hands, and showing the media and being able to display it like at a news conference. It's
Mm-hmm.
Even the most diehard skeptic would say, okay, well, it sounds nice, but until you can show me what it does, I have a hard time believing it, right?
Could you imagine, though, if the government ever did that, how many conspiracy theories we would end?
Oh,
if the government would just give us something,
yeah,
we would end so many theories. So many things out there. They're just kind of floating around because we would have the answers.
The fact, though, that he came out and said the triangles aren't ours.
Mm-hmm.
Is interesting. I mean, that alone is interesting because those triangles, especially the ones that are like a football field big, have always it's always been speculated that those are experimental government ships that are talking about getting us off world in case something were to happen. The fact that nope, not ours. We don't know what those are. Well, now that's a whole new deal, Who's coming to us with a ship that big if it's not us? Now, he could be saying it's not us as in it's not our government. But then who is it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think when he's saying it's not us, he means it's, from another place. But everything he says about that technology makes sense. Bends light, it's malleable. I'm going to take a shot here and say that doesn't mean that it traverses the galaxy and gets here in a hurry. To me, that just means it slips different dimensions, right? It means it's just coming from a different dimension and popping into ours.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think these things are, coming from millions of light years away. I think they're just slipping through a dimensional doorway and ending up in our space. So I honestly don't think we're dealing with anything that's, that's coming from too far away.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a theory for another day.
Gotcha.
Our next story has to do with Vice President J.D. Vance, who says that he is obsessed, and that's a quote, with UFOs. Well, if he's so obsessed, why doesn't he give us the answers? That's my answer. President Trump's right-hand man maintains that he intends to delve deeper into this phenomena. UFO phenomena has piqued the interest of many of America's most prominent politicians, not least of which being Donald Trump himself, who has mentioned the topic on several occasions. But it was Vice President J.D. Vance who recently made the news when he admitted to being obsessed with UFOs and expressed an interest in getting to the bottom of the mystery. Speaking on the Ruthless podcast on Friday, he noted that despite his curiosity, he had yet to truly investigate that phenomena and planned to look into it during the August recess. His quote is, I'm obsessed with the whole UFO thing. What's actually going on? What were those videos all about? What's actually happening? I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet, but we're only 6 months in. We've been very busy. The August recess is in part me going to try to dive to the bottom of the whole UFO thing from last year. Precisely which UFO thing he was referring to remains unclear. Whatever the case is, it will be interesting to see what, if anything, he finds out. Okay, so there's been hearings, right? I mean, he has access to all the notes. He has access to all the documentation from every hearing that's been on Capitol Hill. He's got access to experts. He's got access to scientists. He's got access to anything he could possibly ever want. I don't know how much diving he really has to do. Do you?
But does he have to have permission, though, to release it, what he finds?
I don't think he's going to release anything. I think he just wants to know himself.
Mm.
You know? I mean, and can you really see Vice President Vance getting involved to the point where anything gets released?
Mm.
I don't. I mean, you know, it's not like you're going to see him stand up at a news conference and say, I demand that we release this tomorrow. I think he just wants to know for his own curiosity.
Yeah.
You know, and then try to decide from there whether something should be steered in a certain direction, right? Mm-hmm. Or something should be brought to the president's attention so that it be put on the front burner. But I don't think there's anything there that he really thinks will need to be put on the front burner. I think it's going to cook at its own pace, right? All right, Mal, our next story has to do with a satellite that for the first time just made its own decision in space. Does that scare you that a satellite is making its own decisions?
Yes.
I don't think satellites should making their own decisions. For the first time, a satellite has used artificial intelligence. Yes, we're reporting this outside of the AI spectrum, to decide where and when to take scientific photos, all in under 90 seconds and without human control. That's a little weird. Earlier this month, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory tested the new technology called dynamic targeting. The system ran aboard Cognizant 6, which is a briefcase-sized satellite built by UK company Open Cosmos. It carried a machine learning processor developed by Dublin-based firm Ubotica. You know what they say, Ubotica and then Ubiltica. I don't know what that means. You broke it, you bought it.
There we go.
Ubotica? You broke it, Ubotica. Yeah, that's it. In the trial, the satellite angled itself forward to scan 500 kilometers ahead along its path and captured an initial image. The onboard AI system from Ubotica examined the picture to check for cloud cover. If the sky was clear, then the satellite shifted back to take a detailed photograph of the surface. When the clouds were present, it skipped the capture entirely, conserving storage space and reducing unnecessary data transmission. If you can be smart about what you're taking pictures of, then you only image the ground and skip the clouds, said Ben Smith of JPL, which funds the dynamic targeting work. This technology will help scientists get a much higher proportion of usable data. Traditionally, satellites act as passive data collectors. They photograph whatever is beneath them and transmit all data back to Earth, whether useful or not. Researchers must then sift through the backlog to find what matters. It takes post-processing, which could be days later, to say, hey, there was a fire. Hey, there was a harmful algal bloom. A harmful algal bloom sounds like a great album name. Said Brian Quinn, Chief Strategy Officer at Ubotica, in an earlier NASA article. Dynamic targeting aims to change this by letting satellites make real-time choices. The system could be expanded to detect wildfires, volcanic eruptions, and severe storms more quickly from orbit. So AI could make a good difference here, Mallie. That sounds good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't put it in the AI section.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to destroy humanity.
At
least for now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, put your eye up to the camera for now.
At least for now.
Yeah.
I don't know if
leading you on. It's going to turn. Do
I have my sound effect that goes dun dun dun? Mm-hmm. Oh no, I have the It's a Small World. Do you want to hear that? There you go. That sounds maniacal, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The It's a Small World song? Maybe. There's another mystery out there, though, that continues to surround light intermediate black holes. It's the third grader in me. I can't help it. These enigmatic objects sit somewhere between regular black holes and supermassive black holes. Now we're talking.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it turns out that a group of Bill Smith, Karen Johnny, and Crystal Ruiz Roca got together and decided that black holes are massive, strange, and incredibly powerful astronomical objects. I don't know why it took three of them to decide that, but it did. Scientists know that supermassive black holes reside in the centers of most galaxies, and they understand how certain stars form the comparatively small stellar mass black holes once they reach the end of their life. Understanding how the smaller stellar mass black holes could form the supermassive black holes helps astronomers learn about how the universe grows and evolves. But there's an open question in black hole research.
Oh, don't even go there.
All the hair forms around the black hole?
Stop.
I'm sorry. What about black holes with masses in between? That's the question. These are much harder to find than their stellar and supermassive peers, in size range of a few hundred to a few 100,000 times the mass of the sun. So they claim they're a team of astronomers who are searching for these in-between black holes. Not too big, not too small, just right.
Stop.
You know what I mean? Called intermediate black holes. In a new paper, two of them, Crystal and Karen, teamed up with a group of researchers, including postdoctoral researcher Anjali Yellikar, to look at ripples in space-time to spot a few of those elusive black holes merging. So they were watching black holes slam into each other, Mallie, which sounds like fun. There's got to be a site out there somewhere for that, right?
Stop.
I'm sorry. To gain an intuitive idea of how scientists detect stellar mass black holes, imagine you're at a baseball game where you're sitting directly behind a big concrete column and you can't see the diamond. Even worse, the crowd is deafeningly loud, so it is also nearly impossible to see or hear the game. But you're a scientist, so you take out a high-quality microphone and your computer and write a computer algorithm that can take audio data and separate the crowd's noise from the thunk of a bat hitting a ball. You start recording, and with enough practice and updates to your hardware and software, you can begin following the game, getting a sense of when a ball is hit, what direction it goes, and when it hits a glove, where runners' feet pound in the dirt, and more. That sounds way too scientific to watch a ball game. I'm just saying, I mean, maybe just take out your smartphone, find it, on your DirecTV and watch it that way rather than looking at the column. That seems a lot smarter to me.
All I know is as you're talking, I just had that song, Black Hole Sun, in my head just over and over again.
Black hole sun,
won't you come?
And wash away the rain.
Black hole sun.
Good one, Mel.
Anybody younger than us is like, what the hell are they singing?
That's right. Look up Soundgarden, kids. It's a good song.
Yes.
Admittedly, this is a challenging way to watch a baseball game, it says, but unlike baseball, when observing the universe, sometimes the challenging way is all they have, they claim. It sounds way too complicated than just looking for the holes, right? They also were listening for gravitational waves while they were at it. Here's where they're talking about a black hole mass gap. We'll go forward in the story. They claim that not every dying star can create a stellar mass black hole. Stellar mass black hole. The ones that do are usually between 20 and 100 times the mass of the sun. But due to complicated nuclear physics, really massive stars explode differently. I bet they do. And don't leave behind any remnant black hole or otherwise. These physics create what we refer to as the mass gap in black holes. A smaller black hole likely formed from a dying star. But we do know what a black hole more massive than 60 times the size of a sun, while not a supermassive black hole, is still too big to have formed directly from a dying star. The exact cutoff from the mass gap is still somewhat certain, and many astrophysicists are working on a more precise measurement. However, we are confident that mass gaps exist and that we are in the ballpark of the boundary. By the way, they call black holes in this gap light intermediate mass black holes, what we started talking about at the beginning of the story, or light IMBHs, because they are the least massive black holes that we expect to exist from sources older, or rather other than stars. They are no longer considered stellar mass black holes. But calling them intermediate also doesn't quite capture why they are special. They're special because they're much harder to find, and astronomers still aren't sure what astronomical events might create them, and they fill a gap in astronomers' knowledge of how the universe grows and evolves. So that's what they're kind of looking for there. And they're out there searching for it as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. I'll tell you what. I'm going to post this article so you can kind of get an idea of how they go about looking for this. If it's something that kind of trips your trigger, it's kind of involved.
Okay.
All right. All right, Mallie, I have this story about this Minnesota man who's murdered his neighbor who he thought was an alien. I don't know. I'm sure you have some neighbors who have gotten on your nerves, but have you ever thought any of them were alien?
No.
No?
No, I've never gotten that far.
I've had a few strange neighbors I thought probably were of the alien ilk, but I've never wanted to murder them.
Mm-hmm.
I've wanted to observe them for a while to see what they were doing, but never wanted to murder them. Mm-hmm. There's a bizarre murder case out of the old hometown here, which saw a 38-year-old man shoot and kill his neighbor while believing her to be an extraterrestrial. The incident began last week when a witness who presumably lived at the man's home recalled being woken up in the middle of the night by the suspect to be told that their neighbor, a 70-year-old woman, was in fact an alien and that a spaceship was coming to take them away. I think
what was he smoking?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's some psychotropic drugs not being taken here.
Mm-hmm.
The man then reportedly called the neighbor up and asked her to come round to help him with something. When she arrived, he shot her 7 times with a firearm.
Oh.
Yikes. Somehow she was able to make it back to her house, and while first responders were initially able to ask her what happened, she sadly succumbed to her wounds and died shortly afterwards. The suspect was later apprehended after breaking into a nearby house. Exactly why the man had believed that his neighbor was an alien is unclear, but it would be reasonable to assume that he was either experiencing a mental health issue or was under the influence. Whatever the case, the fear of being carried away in a spaceship prompted him to commit murder. By the way, he's scheduled to appear in court on August 8th, where maybe we'll find out more about this whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope we do. All right. With that, we're going to take our break. When we come back, ChatGPT has passed the I'm not a robot test. We'll figure out if ChatGPT is truly human. That's coming up after the break. A lot of you have already heard that Matt Rife and his partner have bought the Warrens Occult Museum. We'll give you the details as to what is behind that sale. And we'll also tell you about one of the Warrens' relatives and what they think of the whole sale. Spoiler alert, it ain't good. A video clip shows an alleged Bigfoot in Coyote Ridge, California. We'll give you the details on that story. There's a story out there that the Turin shroud was laid on a sculpture and not a real body. That according to a study. We'll give you the details on that story after the break. Also, inside the lost 6,000-year-old underwater city on the coast of Cuba with a stone structure 2,000 feet below the sea surface. We'll go underwater and find out the details of what that city exactly is. And there's a mystery out there as a plane vanishes between Australia and Tasmania. I'll tell you about that mystery as well. And our palate cleanser today, Mallie. Sometimes that beast out there chirping is just a chirping. We'll tell you what that beast is that's chirping and why it looks so odd. That coming up next, right here on a Supernatural News and Parashare Wednesday with your buddies Tim and Mallie. It's the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday. Supernatural News and Parashare. Tim Dennis and Mallie Fox with you. And Mallie, guess what?
What?
Jeez. That was...
Okay, before you start AI, can I just say I am not happy with AI because I fell for something.
What'd you fall for?
Okay, so the other night we were having dinner and my kids were talking about AI. Mm-hmm. And my son, my bonus son, was talking about, he was making fun of my daughter, bonus daughter, because she fell for a video and it's of the bunnies on the trampoline. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that video?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Okay, that is AI. Weekend. And he was making fun of her that she fell for it. And I kept my mouth shut because I fell for it as well. I thought it was a real video. And he says it's not. And she's like, yeah, I know it's not. And I'm sitting here going, I swear to God, it was real.
I thought it looked weird. I'll give it that. I thought that's way too many. How do bunnies, first of all, know how to jump on a trampoline?
Right. And I thought it was weird too, but I was like, that's so cute. And I thought maybe because I watched those videos with raccoons and they, come and knock on the window and they eat food and stuff. So I figured, well, maybe bunnies have discovered the trampoline. I don't know. But yeah, it was AI and I fell for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good AI videos out there that look real.
Yeah. So I'm screwed.
So eventually they'll suck you in, is what you're saying?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But yeah, I kept my mouth shut because he was making fun of her. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to say anything.
Well, somewhere out there, Mal.
Yes.
There's a bunch of bunnies that are out there just waiting to make you happy. Mm-hmm. See what I did there?
Yeah. Before they eat each other.
Yeah. Well, they proved that they weren't really human or really bunnies. Mm-hmm. ChatGPT is trying to do the exact same thing. It is actually, ChatGPT just passed the I'm not a robot test. When you go online and you've got that I'm not a robot check here?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it did that. It managed to check the box. Yeah. So now the bunnies have fooled everybody. And now ChatGPT has fooled everybody. ChatGPT, developed by OpenAI, has achieved a new milestone by passing the I'm not a robot test, common online verification designed to differentiate humans from bots. This latest version of the AI, known as ChatGPT Agent, can now navigate the web autonomously, performing tasks like online shopping and booking appointments. ChatGPT Agent can bypass security measures like Cloudflare's anti-bot verification. The system typically requires users to click a checkbox and prove that they're human. In one instance, the AI narrated its process of clicking the Verify You Are Human checkbox, demonstrating its ability to mimic human-like behavior online. The AI operates with a sandboxed environment, allowing it to control its own web browser and access the internet, as reported by Ars Technica. Users can oversee the AI's actions and must grant permission for any significant actions, such as making purchases. OpenAI has acknowledged the risks of granting AI more autonomy, but assures that safeguards are in place. Despite the measures, the AI's ability to pass such tests raises questions about the future effectiveness of CAPTCHA. There we go. I can say it. To me, it sounds like an old Polish word. CAPTCHA systems, which have long been used to prevent automated access to websites. This development marks a significant step in AI's evolution, showcasing its ability to handle complex tasks that typically require human judgment. So surprise, surprise, Mal.
Surprise, surprise.
There's a little box right there in front of the bunny video that says, I am not a robot. It'll check that, and then it'll play the bunny video for you. All on its own. We're doubly screwed, my friend. We're doubly schooled. We're schooled and we're screwed. Both. Oh, you ready to get even more depressed before we moved on?
Yes, let's get it over with.
All right, let's do it. You ready? It turns out the next business to be infiltrated by AI is the funeral business.
Uh-oh.
So, how do you want to be remembered? That's the question that funeral directors want to know. The rise of AI tools that write about you when you die is on the uptick. 2 days after Jeff Fargo's mother died, he laid in bed crying at home in Nevada and then opened up his laptop to ChatGPT. Because that's the person that should be writing about mom, right? Her friends had asked about an obituary, so for nearly about an hour, he typed about her life. That she had been a single mom in a male-dominated world, that she never got the credit she was owed, that she was loved. After a few seconds, the chatbot offered its condolences in a short passage memorializing her as an avid golfer known for her kindness and love of dogs. After it was published in her community's newspaper, her friends said it captured her beautifully. No. I just emptied my soul into the prompt, said 55-year-old Fargo. I was mentally not in a place where I could give my mom what she deserved, and this did it for me. Oh, you're so lazy. Artificial intelligence tools are not just reshaping how we work, learn, and live. They're also changing what happens after we die. As families and funeral homes are seeking help in creating tributes and eulogies to define a loved one's life. Funeral directors are increasingly asking the relatives of the deceased whether they would prefer for AI to write the obituary rather than take on the task themselves. Josh McQueen, the vice president of marketing and product for the funeral home management software Parashare, said its AI tool has written thousands of obituaries nationwide in the last few years. Oh, that's disgusting. Tech startups are also working to build obituary generators that are available to everyone in their time of grief for a small fee. So yes, they're making money off of it. Sonali George, the founder of one such tool called Celebrate Ally, said the AI functions as an enabler for human connection because it can help people skip past an overwhelming task and still end up with something that can bring their family together. Imagine for the person who just died. Wouldn't that person want the best friend to say a heartfelt tribute that makes everybody laugh, bring out the best with AI? She said, if you had a tool to do 25 reasons why I love you, Mom, she added, wouldn't it still mean something even if it was written by a machine? No. That's my answer. No. The AI tool's speed has made them quite popular in the death care industry, where funeral staff have traditionally been required to pull together sensitive details about a person's lineage and accomplishments before writing the documents themselves. Skip Phelps, a sales executive at Spring Grove Cemetery and Arboretum in Cincinnati, said in a testimonial on Parashare's website that its AI obituary writer, that's hard to say 10 times fast, is truly amazing with great adjectives and descriptions. And Ryan Lynch, the head of the product at Plotbox, not bot, but Plotbox, an Ireland-based developer of cemetery software, said the tools were the talk of last year's National Funeral Directors Association conference in Las Vegas. I bet you that's a big drinking group right there.
Mm-hmm.
Someone did stand up, and they say they thought it was the greatest advancement in funeral home technology since some kind of embalming tool, Lynch said. God. Which I thought was maybe a bit hyperbolic. Outside the funeral business, however, obituary generators disturb people who see them as heartless shortcuts for reducing a person's life to automated text. They've also inflamed broader anxieties about how AI could coarsen the way people relate to and remember one another, turning basic elements of human existence like grief to just another task to optimize. Irina Raichu, who directs the Internet Ethics Program at Santa Clara University, said she worries about the flattening effect that could happen or stem from people outsourcing their most emotional moments to unfeeling machines. A generic simulacrum of a memorial can't capture the full color of a person's relationships and experiences, she said, or offer the kind of real sorrow that can lead to closure that people, or for the people that they leave behind. In a traditional obituary, you can actually see the person through the writer's eyes, and that's what makes it so powerful, she said. I am hearing my friend's voice in describing their loved ones. That's what gets lost, that sense of really seeing what they saw.
If people are using AI to do obituaries, how many people do you think are using AI to like do their wedding vows?
Right?
That's something supposed to be emotional, emotions. It's like using a cheat sheet.
Here's my worry here, Mallie, and that's this. There's only so many cookie cutter obituaries you're going to find, right?
Mm-hmm.
So eventually it's going to be the same thing over and over and over again at all these different funerals, right? Or weddings, like you mentioned. So it's going to be, I've never loved anyone the way I've loved you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be delivered with that kind of enthusiasm, right? And it's just going to, it's going to be so soulless, both in life and death. And it's not going to mean anything. Even though you want it to mean something. They're not your words. And it's not your feeling. And it's coming from something that can't feel. Even though the information's been put in by somebody who can feel. You take something that comes from a human that feels, you translate it to something unfeeling. It loses the meaning. And then you put it to somebody who can feel again. It loses something in translation, right? It's just a bad idea. Just a bad idea all the way around. The story goes on a little bit more. I tell you this, I'll post the entire story because it is very interesting about how they've created ideas for a graveside service with AI. Other things having to do with obituaries, the use of AI writing tools, expanding beyond families and funeral homes, and just what they plan on doing with this thing. But it's creepy. It is just plain creepy.
Right. Just like that person said, how it's going to take away emotions and stuff from people. It's like nowadays how people text where you don't want to call anymore and people don't communicate face to face.
Right.
Like they feel awkward, this generation, the new generation. So we're just leading towards that even more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what we're doing. We're at a point where, we're taking the personality and we're taking the soul out of everything. And because it's easier. And if we don't have to feel, then we don't have to put ourselves into anything, right? We don't, nothing has a personal edge or personal investment in anything anymore. Because that takes time. It takes time, effort, and we can take that back, so to speak, so that we feel we have more for ourselves. What ends up happening, though, when you think you have more for yourself, is you end up cheating somebody out of something, right? And somebody ends up feeling slighted, and that creates more hard feelings for somebody else. And it ends up being cyclical. It comes back to you, and you end up suffering because of it. So it's just a bad idea. Just bad ideas. I know I sound like an old fuddy-duddy, right? I mean, there's some things that automation truly can help with, and really does help with. This program, for example, editing this program. To do this program on old tape would be impossible. You couldn't put this program out 3 times a week, the old way we used to do things in the radio business. It would be an impossibility. The invention of digital makes it amazing to be able to put something like this out, audio and video. The fact that the processes have made things so easy makes it a wonderful thing, so that you can digest it, make it more of a throwaway product where you can just watch it, throw it away, keep going, and you know, keep churning and burning with audio and video. You can consume more media that way, which is a good thing. You know, you get to learn more, you get to see more, you can expand your mind more. I think it's a great thing. Some people may not. I think it's a great thing. But, you know, it does, and it creates more work, believe it or not. It creates more work for media people. So it's never a bad thing. I don't think it's ever a bad thing. But there's no way you could have done this 40 years ago. There's just no way you could do what we're doing now. So some of those advancements are a good thing. But there's, again, and I hate to keep belaboring the point. I'll get off this soapbox in a second. There are just some things that you just have to do the old-fashioned way. You just have to put your heart and soul into it and deliver it the old-fashioned way. I'll give you one example. I absolutely hate digital greeting cards.
I totally forgot about those, to be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one in forever.
I don't know many people who use them. I mean, sure, it's a waste of paper, but would you rather have an analog paper greeting card given to you or cardboard greeting card given to you, or would you rather receive something by email?
I would rather have a physical card, like a thank you note. I'd rather have a physical thank you note than an email.
Yeah.
It seems more personal. They took the time.
Right. And it's being able to hold that note and know that somebody wrote something out for you and took the time, and it's even just spending the couple of bucks to you know, procure that note, write it out, give it to you. You know, it just means something, right? And even if it's going to end up in the trash a couple days later, like most people do, at least they took the time, and you remember that. You file it up here, right? That, you know, that person took that time, and it means something, and you hold it with you. You don't necessarily need to have it sitting and taking up space in your email. But again, it seems like sometimes it's just easier for somebody to put up, you know, grab a digital card, type a little something on it, send it. Okay, we're done, right? And we move on. But I saved a tree, right, Mallie? I saved a tree. That's the philanthropist in me. That's not the philanthropist. That's the conservationist in me, right? I saved a tree, right? I saved a tree, so everything's all good. You know, you should thank me. I saved a tree. Yeah. Just get me an old-fashioned card. That's what right. So
but then you're wasting a tree if you're not using the cards that are already out there at the store. That's
right. They're already dead. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Well, they can be recycled though, can't they? I mean, that's the idea. I mean, at least that's what they say. That's the idea. I don't know. All right. Let's move on to the story of the week. The one that's got some people up in arms. It's got other people wondering about new opportunities. Matt Rife, comedian who claims he's got a huge interest in the paranormal, but he's got other people wondering if this is going to turn into some sort of sideshow. Went out, and it was reported by TMZ on August 1st that he had purchased the Warren's Occult Museum. Now, there are specific terms behind this. It isn't an indefinite purchase. Far from it. The way this works is that he told fans that he bought Ed and Lorraine Warren's house and occult museum along with his friend Alton Casty. The way he announced it, he said that he had purchased Ed and Lorraine Warren's occult museum, including being the legal guardian for at least the next 5 years of the entire haunted collection, including the Annabelle doll. Now, that may make you scratch your head a little bit. Okay, he purchased it, but he only gets custodianship of the museum for 5 years. So what did he buy? Mm-hmm. Right? What all did you get? He also went on to say, you may also know the Conjuring files, the Conjuring films are my favorite scary movies of all time. So I'm incredibly honored to have taken over one of the most prominent properties in paranormal history. Ed and Lorraine Warren arguably put demonology and paranormal into the mainstream and are the very heart of some of the most famous haunted stories of all time, the Conjuring House, Amityville Horror, etc. We plan to open the house for overnight stays and museum tours so you yourself can experience and learn all the haunted history surrounding this amazing place. Now, Rife says they plan to open the house as soon as next summer for overnight stays and museum tours. No word on if you'll get the chance to meet Rife with the price of admission. So, ladies, slow your roll. However, as far as Annabelle goes...
Slow your roll.
Slow your roll. As far as Annabelle goes, Rife tells TMZ the doll will finish the last stops of the tour she's currently on and then will rest safely in the museum for guests of the house to visit upon their stay. The Annabelle doll, of course, recently made headlines when Dan Rivera died on tour with it. The doll was not in the same room as Rivera when he passed. That's important to mention. Lorraine and Ed said Annabelle had a demonic presence attached to her, so Rife might be putting his own safety at risk with the recent purchase. That's what TMZ says. Rife told TMZ as of October 2025, the home will still be hosting overnight paranormal investigations to guests with access to the Warren Occult Museum and all the haunted items. I had no idea Nesper was doing that. Did you?
No, I didn't.
Matt tells TMZ, I'm so excited to own, well, basically the same thing I just read. Mm-hmm. He's excited to own that. Okay, now, here's where different people weighed in. Ryan Buell weighed in this week and said that at one point he would go to visit Lorraine Warren, and Lorraine would do things like let him sit in Ed's desk. Mm-hmm. And would allow him to kind of soak in the history and go through the files and be able to experience the haunted museum. So while the more things change, the more they stay the same. And while he's, he wasn't hurt by the sale, but he understands that things need to move on.
Right.
He's excited to see where things are going to go with it. So he's and ultimately he said it's Nesper's decision. Mm-hmm. And he respects the decision. Johnny Zaffis weighed in on Facebook, and I'm going to read directly from him. I'm going to quote him because I don't want to misquote. He writes, Ed and Lorraine Warren, thank you for all the emails, messages, and phone calls. And with every phone call and message, I have been propelled down memory lane. So many of you made me happy and sad. Yes, learning of the acquisition of the Warrens' estate did make me feel like the day when Ed collapsed. I knew on that day my life was about to turn upside down, and it did. I had not only lost a mentor, best friend, I lost my uncle, my mother's twin brother, a very big part of my family, and not just a paranormal legend. Am I okay? No, but I will be in time. The one thing no one can take away from you or me is the memories and the good times, Johnny. It doesn't sound like he's okay with it. But then the question remains, if Johnny wasn't okay with it, was it ever offered to him to purchase? Was it ever offered to him to step in? My guess is no.
Right.
Right? And if so, why not? Maybe that's not a question he's willing to answer. Maybe that's a question that Tony from Nesper is not willing to answer either. And maybe it is a money thing.
But did you also see, though, that Tony's child, his son, is weighing in on it as well?
No.
Like there's an estrangement. They do not get along. Their child has said that he has not been in contact, has not communicated with them, with his parents for a long time. And that even though he doesn't know Matt and he, wishes Matt the best, he has not been a fan of, the museum traveling around the country and the house being open up for, overnights and things like that. But yeah, he's been estranged from his parents.
I'll just put it out there. I've said it privately to some people. I don't think it's in the spirit of Ed and Lorraine to open it up to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Zaffis doesn't open his up to the public.
Right.
You got to keep this in mind, right, Mallie? The fact that there's a priest that shows up weekly, right? And people may say, okay, so you're thinking very old-fashioned here, Tim, but here's the deal. There are many psychics that say, I don't believe in hell, right? Mm-hmm. There are many people who say, I don't believe in hell. It's not my belief systems. It doesn't have to be in your belief system. It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. If there is, everything has an energy, right? Mm-hmm. There is a palpable energy behind these haunted items. Stuff happens. It's a proven fact that when people get together and they pray, things happen. It's a scientific fact. They've measured it, right? When people get together and put the power of intention behind something, things happen. Things move. With haunted items, and you put that many haunted items together in one location, you can't tell me it's a scientific fact that there's negative energy under that roof, right? Call it what it is. It could be, it could be Satan. It could be whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You can name it whatever you want to name it. It doesn't have to be Satan. It could be, it could be Felix the cat. I don't care what you want to name it. Whatever evil energy you want to name it. There's some sort of dark energy under that roof. So should a comedian be the one who's controlling it? Right? And is he going to hold up the same standards that Ed and Lorraine Warren held up, which was to bring in that priest every week to keep it under control? Because even Lorraine knew she couldn't keep it under control. Right? Mm-hmm. Even the so-called quote-unquote paranormal expert knew she wasn't enough to keep everything that was assembled under that roof under control. Even she gave up control to someone else to keep everything that was assembled under that roof under control. And you can, by all means, email me and tell me I'm nuts for thinking that. But there's a reason why they took these objects away from people who said, this is too much for my home. Please take it away. Mm-hmm. Right? This is damaging my family. It's tearing apart our lives. Obviously, people thought these things were destroying them. So Ed and Lorraine took it away, put it under their own roof, and said enough's enough. Now, all this stuff is under one roof. And investigators have the hubris to say, okay, well, I'm going to go in with a K2 meter and go see it for myself. And I want to spend the night with it. Not just it, but all of it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you're going to do with it? Besides piss it off.
Right.
Or maybe take something home.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing good's going to come of it. What do you think you're going to do there that Ed and Lorraine Warren didn't already do? You think you're better than Ed and Lorraine Warren?
No, it takes all kinds to make this world go around. There's a bunch of idiots out there.
I mean,
People with bad intentions.
What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
I don't walk into U.S. Bank Stadium and ask for a football and think I'm better than J.J. McCarthy and I think I'm going to quarterback the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even try. So why are you going to walk into the Warren Museum and think you're going to investigate and do, investigate these haunted items and think you're going to do a better job than anybody else? I don't get it. What do you think? What are you going to do there? I don't get it. It's one thing to open the museum under a guarded lock and key, or even put everything behind glass and let people see the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. A guided tour, I get.
Right.
But investigations and sleep under the same roof and what? I don't get it, Mel.
Because there's no claims that the Warren's house is haunted, correct?
No.
There's no. Okay, so
nope.
It's just because the house and the museum is together.
Right.
Okay.
But it's a well-known story. I won't say fact. It's a well-known story, and it's been caught on camera that Lorraine herself said, we have to have a priest out here once a week, sometimes twice,
mm-hmm.
to keep these things at bay. And then she described the different issues they have out there. Sometimes it was with Annabelle alone. But other things out there have acted up. And I know we've talked to Johnny on this show about his own museum. And he pretty much has the same arrangement. He learned from the best. He learned from Ed about keeping those objects under control. And you don't see Johnny opening up his museum for people to come in and investigate. Now,
I thought at one time he was looking at having a museum, though.
Right. He was, for people to come in and look at the items.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Because I remember him saying he would never let anyone touch the items, like physically touch.
Right. But when you open up a museum for investigation, how are you going to keep people from touching these items, holding these items? How are you going to keep them from having intimate contact with them, from provoking the items, from stirring stuff up? That's a completely uncontrolled situation. I don't know how you prevent anything bad from happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? With certain controls, and I think there's a reason why. I know the one main reason John hasn't done anything is because he never got a commercial building for his museum.
Mm-hmm.
But even if he got the commercial building funded, I think maybe as wisdom has come upon him, I think maybe he's seen some of the same issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of putting all this stuff under one roof and then having people come through. I think he's had enough experience with the general public to know that, especially after having, I'm not pointing at one group or another here, But after having met plenty of investigative groups, going, you know what? I could see where this would go real wrong in a hurry. Right?
Yes.
So I think at that point, John probably filed the idea away and went, you know what? It was a nice thought, but...
Yeah, not worth the stress.
Right. I think the objects are right where they have to be. They're not hurting anybody where they are. And it's probably a better idea just to do tours, right? You don't see, and I'll use Zach Baggins as an example, right? Zach doesn't come in and say, come on in and provoke the Dybbuk box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come on in and do whatever you want to the Dybbuk box. He does investigate his own museum, but he kind of knows the terrain, right? And it's done for television. There's a lot of buts there. There's a lot of, there's a lot of disclaimers there. Mm-hmm. He knows the lay of the land. I just don't. How do you prepare for something like that? I don't. Just a bad idea. The whole thing's just a bad idea. Here's the other thing too, and we'll start to kind of close the door on. Unless you have some thoughts here, Mel, we'll start to close the door on this. Another take I heard on this, which was very interesting too, was I had heard there was another reason why the Warrens never did open up the museum, even if they would have wanted to, was that the municipality would never have let them.
Oh, okay.
Even if they would have had the proper size building, they would have had to have had, you're talking bathrooms, sewer lines, parking lots. There's other things to consider here. Proper lodging, all this other stuff. You got to have the proper permits to open up a business like that. You have to zone for it. And they didn't have any of the proper permits, nor would the town let them if they decided to do that. That's something to consider too. Now, is there a difference between what the Warrens would have wanted and Matt Rife and what he wants? And would they zone it commercial for Matt Rife as opposed to the Warrens? Maybe they would. Mm-hmm. If he states that it's strictly a commercial venture.
Right.
And this is what we're planning on doing, and this is who we plan on attracting, and it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. And
he has the money to do it.
Yeah. And this is going to be more of a paranormal Disneyland, and he's out front with exactly what he's going to do. Well, maybe they would change their mind. But he would have to tell them how sanitized it was going to be in order to make it work. You also have to tell yourself as an investigator, if you really think that Matt Rife is going to make this a genuine experience for you, you got another thing coming. I think somewhere in there, this is going to be watered down. You're not going to get the genuine experience that you think you're going to get, at least for safety's sake. So, but it's interesting nonetheless.
I mean, I knew he was into the paranormal because he's talked about it before. When I heard that he had purchased it, my first thought was that is going to be an expensive overnight. Because I feel like lately when people have purchased these places that have known to be haunted, the price for an overnight has skyrocketed.
Yes.
So that was my only thought.
Well, I think that the price of overnights now for paranormal groups is getting more and more expensive wherever you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let's face it, the so-called quote-unquote virgin territory is getting less and less out there, right?
Yeah.
There's spots like that are few and far between. Mm-hmm. So to claim another spot in the name of the paranormal and open it up to the public. I think, is a rarity and a gem and something to jump on. But you have to ask yourself this question too. If it was so easy to do, why didn't Tony and Nesper do it in the first place? If this was such $1 million idea, why didn't Nesper do it and fund their own group? Why wasn't this done years ago? Why does it take Matt Rife to do it and Tony didn't do it? Was it not palatable with Nesper doing it?
Yeah.
Was Nesper not enough to get it past city councils? I mean, there's a lot of interesting questions here that aren't, does it take a celebrity to make this thing happen? Does it take a celebrity to make it, like I said, palatable, to make it sound like a good idea? Mm-hmm. Because when you
sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, because when you sit down and think about it, it doesn't sound like a smart idea.
Mm-hmm. Now, which one is the son-in-law of the Warrens?
Tony Spira.
Okay. So it was Tony. Okay, so that's who I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah. Because when you sit and think about it, if Tony Spira were to open it up, it just makes it look like the son-in-law is just trying to make a buck.
Right.
But when Matt Rife comes in and does it, it just makes it look like, oh, it's just a celebrity who doesn't know any different or any better, who's just trying to make opportunities for all of us to see something we never had a chance to look at. It's a peek behind the hidden door, right? I don't know.
Or maybe it was a financial thing, like they just couldn't afford it anymore and they had to put it up for sale.
I don't know.
Do you think?
Because Tony had taken the Annabelle doll out on the road. So, he made the Annabelle tour. So
yeah, but maybe it wasn't as profitable as they thought it was going to be.
But why take it out on the road and why not just open it at home?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because the community wouldn't let him open it up.
Oh, okay.
So he had to take it out on the road. So now this is another way. And I'm telling you, that's why it wasn't a full out sale. That's why this is a lease. Because he doesn't want a full out sale. It isn't going that far. There's something really fishy about this whole thing. Mm-hmm. I think this is more of a partnership. Because again, someone's trying to make a buck here. And you're right. Someone's trying to make a buck here, Mallie. But it's like someone's trying to kick the door wide open so that something could be exploited here. Mm. Yeah. It's just the feeling I have. That's all this is. I'm not saying this is fact. It's just the feeling I have. And it's kind of an icky feeling.
Yeah.
This feels icky.
Yeah. Speaking of icky feelings, have you seen on social media what are they called? Is it U.S. Ghost Adventures? Is that what they're called? That group, the tour, how they have the tours all over, how they want to have a tour in Maui, and people are saying it's too soon. Yeah, it's been all over social media because it's kind of that thought process of when is it too soon to have a ghost tour, when a major tragedy has happened. And they have recently said that they are going to have a tour now in Maui. And people are like, whoa, it's too soon after the fires.
I have it up right here. A Lahaina ghost tour. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah. The Lahaina tour is a walking tour that explores the town's historic and tragic past, highlighting stories of the unexplained according to U.S. Ghost Adventures. Controversy is the timing of the tour shortly after the devastating wildfires has led to criticism to Lahaina residents who feel it is exploiting their tragedy for profit. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that... Yeah, that is too soon.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's kind of bad taste. It really is. It really
if you want to do a walking tour, go to, Oahu or go to the Big Island. I mean, they're big believers in ghosts, and those islands are haunted. I lived on Oahu. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. So, go do and they might already have walking tours on those islands, but leave Maui alone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, boy, that just feels icky, doesn't it?
Yeah. Big time.
Oh, it says here, success. As of July 29th, U.S. Ghost Adventures has removed the Maui listing from their site.
Good.
Yeah, there's a story here that they've removed it.
Because that's just showing they're just looking for a buck to make a buck, not,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's always been the discussion, right? What's the statute of limitations, right? When it comes to statute of limitation is when it comes to, what's appropriate for investigation when it comes to a tragedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
When is sacred ground not sacred ground anymore?
Yes.
When can you walk into that grounds with a K2 meter and start to ask questions?
Mm-hmm.
When is it appropriate?
Yes.
I was thinking today when I was going to make a birthday post for my mother, I was thinking, she's 80 years old. It's been 80 years since we dropped bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Mm. Yep.
Is it appropriate to go to Japan with a K2 meter and walk around those grounds and ask questions, or walk around with a recorder and ask to talk to spirits? It's been 80 years. But does that feel icky?
Yeah. Or maybe it depends on the location. Maybe not the amount of years, but maybe the location or the extent of the
tragedy.
I'm sorry, what?
The extent of the tragedy?
Yeah, maybe that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Maybe some things are just too big of an atrocity to cross that line.
Yeah, because you would probably never investigate the Twin Towers, that area.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
No, it's a good point. It's a very good point. Let's move on. Our next story, speaking of atrocities, takes place in Pennsylvania, where parents say funeral homes gave them a box with their son's brain inside.
Oh, good God.
Yeah. 2 funeral homes are grieving or gave grieving parents their deceased son's brain in a box, which began to smell, leaked into their car, and got on their father's hands when he moved it. That, according to an updated lawsuit filed this week. The father, Lawrence Butler, said the discovery was overwhelming at a news conference on Thursday, leaving a horrific memory that mars their memories of a good young man, their son, Timothy Garlington. It was, and it still is in my heart, that I got in my car and I smelled death, he said, emotion breaking in his voice. Garlington's mother, Abby Butler, stood nearby, wiping away tears. After Garlington's death in 2023, the Butlers had his remains shipped from one funeral home in Georgia to another in Pennsylvania, where they picked up his belongings, including a white cardboard box that contained an unlabeled red box. At Nick's and Nick's funeral homes in Philadelphia, Abby Butler couldn't open the red box, said the Butler's attorney, L. Chris Stewart, at the news conference. Several days later, the red box, which was in the butler's car, began to smell and leak fluid, Stewart said. When Lawrence Butler picked it up, the fluid covered his hands, which was brain matter. It's insane, Stewart said. When they called the funeral home in Georgia, Southern Cremations and Funerals in Cheatham Hill, they were told it was Garlington's brain and some mistake had been made, Stewart said. Well, that is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
The Butlers returned the box to Nix and Nix, he said. The company that owns Southern Cremations, ASV Partners, declined to comment when it was contacted by the AP. The parents' last memory is holding their son's brain, said Stewart in an interview with the Associated Press. I had to get rid of that car, Lawrence Butler said. I just couldn't stand the idea that the remains were in that car. The lawsuit says that both funeral homes negligently mishandled human remains and intentionally, wantonly, and recklessly inflicted emotional distress. Stewart said he had consulted other funeral homes and that no one at no point in the process, in the process is the brain separated from the body in that fashion and shipped in that fashion. If it ever is, he said, then it is in a sealed bag and labeled biohazardous. Whether or not Nix and Nix knew a brain was inside the box, Stewart alleges they shouldn't have handed the box over to the Butlers because it was not on the list of belongings sent from Southern Cremations. Julian Nix, the manager of the titular funeral home, told AP that it was definitely not our fault because Southern Cremations had sent them the unlabeled box. Nix said it reported it to authorities once they learned what was inside. An investigation had been done by the state board overseeing funeral homes that found they weren't responsible, he said, but the documents proving that weren't yet available. The Butlers are seeking compensation and answers to what went wrong. They also hope the lawsuit acts as a warning so that similar incidents won't happen again. Garlington is a veteran of the U.S. Marines and was working in financial aid for schools and had lived in Georgia and has since been buried in Washington Crossing National Cemetery. Stewart, who declined to say how Garlington died at age 56, said the Butlers still didn't know whether Garlington's brain was buried with the rest of him. So they have no clue if his brain made it with the rest of his body. They fear, which is totally understandable, is he resting in peace, he said. That is a horrible, horrible story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's interesting is ever since that funeral director show on HBO, I've seen more and more of these stories.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I don't know why they've become so prolific lately, but there's a lot of those stories out there.
Mm-hmm. I saw a story the other day. I don't know what the outcome is, but it was a woman who had a really bad relationship with her husband, her ex-husband. But anyway, her son ends up in her ex-husband's, like, under, what do you call it when you divorce and the child goes with the other spouse? Anyway, he ends up passing away, and supposedly he was supposed to have been cremated.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so she thinks that her son is cremated. She goes to that exhibit, the one that travels the country, but it's the kind that it's
the
what is it called?
Oddities or
where you're like skinned or
yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I went to it, but now I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, she goes to that exhibit and she sees one of them and she swears to God it's her son.
Oh, no.
She finds out her son isn't cremated.
Oh,
she thinks
no.
so. She thinks that this one is her son, and she's waiting to find out if it's her son. Like, she finds out her son wasn't cremated.
Oh, no. Yeah, the bodies exhibit where they...
Yes, where they do all different kinds of...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She thinks that's her son.
Oh, God.
That her son... Because she says that her husband ended up selling his body or donating his body to science, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That would be horrific. She found out that her ex-husband donated the body.
Can you imagine?
Didn't cremated. Yep. She's like, that is my son.
Oh my God.
So I'm looking at my son on display right now.
Can you imagine?
Yep.
That would be horrific.
Yep.
Walking into a show like that and seeing your son stripped of skin and just seeing like the musculoskeletal.
Yep.
Oh my God, that'd be a nightmare.
Yep. But you also think that your son is cremated and you find out your ex-husband donated his body to science.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, that is nightmare fuel right there. That's what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. We can change subject.
But you're talking about, horrific. And I was like, oh, I just saw this story. I don't know what the outcome is, but
By the way.
And there might be an outcome and I just don't know what it is, but yeah. So if you know what the outcome is, let Tim know.
Yeah. Send in the email, tim@darknessradio.com.
But yeah.
And by the way, while we're on that, if you have a Parashare story, tim@darknessradio.com as well. I do have some Parashare stories coming in, which we'll read next week. But yeah. Oh, okay. We're going to switch gears. We're going to go to cryptids. A video clip shows an alleged Bigfoot in Coyote Ridge, California. A fast-moving hominid was inadvertently picked up on camera by a man who was out with his dogs in the mountains. The intriguing clip was recently sent to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization, or RMSO, by a man identified only as Bill, who captured the alleged creature on film back in May of this year. The action takes place primarily within the first few seconds of the video, with the alleged Sasquatch appearing briefly among the trees in the background at the top left of the frame. It moves quickly from left to right before hunkering down behind some thicker foliage. While the region is certainly known to be a hotspot for Bigfoot sightings, the reaction to this particular clip has been mixed. While some believe the footage genuinely depicts a Bigfoot, others remain skeptical, citing the lack of clarity, the creature's rapid movement, and its distinctly human-like gait. Could this be the genuine evidence of an undiscovered hominid roaming the wilds of California, or is it simply someone in a Bigfoot costume pulling a prank? We'll let you decide. We'll post this in the description of the program so you can judge for yourself. I tell you what, let me try and play. Oh, it's a 7-minute video here. I was going to say if this was, let me see. Let's see. There's a doggy here. There's a doggy there, Mallie.
Aww.
Let me see. Do you see a Bigfoot running behind the doggy and going?
Nope.
And going, "Rrr."
Oh.
He doesn't do anything like that. Like, hey, Mr. Doggy, rrr. Nothing like that. I got to think with a 7-minute video, it probably takes him a while to come out. He's probably, in the background eating Jack's Link's jerky or something and probably taking a snooze and,
Yeah. I'm not seeing it, but that's maybe because of the reflection of the Ring camera.
Oh,
or not the Ring camera, but the Ring light.
Yeah, the Ring light that I have. Let me see if I can forward to where he might. Oh, I think he might be in there. Let me see here. Maybe he's right in there. Can you see him?
Oh, okay. I see.
You see him?
Yep. It helps with the red circle around it.
Yeah, it does when they circle him. Yeah. It's a circle me Bert for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Circle me Bigfoot. So, yeah. So they, put a little circle. And then the dog's out there looking at him like, is that a Bigfoot? Because if it is, I'm just going to slowly run away. Oh, jeez. They just show just a picture of Bigfoot. They're like, he's right here. Ah! So yeah, we'll post that in the description of the program so you can watch the video and you can decide for yourself if that's Bigfoot. Meanwhile, a large unidentified river creature was caught on camera in South Korea. The mysterious visitor showed up unexpectedly during an angling session posted to a fishing YouTube channel. Do you remember Roland Martin way back in the day?
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad used to watch Roland Martin all the time. I used to make fun of it. Like I was just a smart-ass little kid. I would sit there and my dad would be watching Roland Martin on a Saturday morning. And be like, oh, son, that's another big one. Oh, son. He'd be out there, I don't know why I sound like JR from WWE, but I'd sit there and go, oh, son, oh, son. I'm making fun of him. My dad would be like, shut up. I'm trying to watch my fishing shows. Anyways, I can just imagine Roland Martin out there, ho son, and then pulling in one of these big, huge, river monsters. That would be fun. Now, see, that would have made fishing shows fun to watch. But they never pulled in a river monster. I digress, Mallie. Things I wish I would have saw for 800 as a kid.
Right.
Something large and unexplained has been lurking near the surface of the Han River, a major stretch of water that flows through the South Korean capital of Seoul. The strange encounter was captured on camera during the recording of a recent episode of the fishing-themed YouTube channel, Jungdam Story. Oh, that's a good one. You ever watch that? I haven't either. The video entitled "A Real Monster Emerges at the Han River in Seoul" seemed to start off like any ordinary fishing trip, but then just after the 13-minute mark, a dark shape suddenly appeared in the water a short distance away. As it got closer, the video stars got up and walked over to the water's edge to get a closer look. Always a bad idea. I don't care who you are. Perplexed, he eventually picked up the camera and zoomed in to film the creature. "What is that? I'm scared. It's moving towards me," he said. That's when you run. I don't care who you are. You run. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. He later noted that the creature had remained in the area for around 20 minutes and had been an estimated 10 meters in length. He also suggested that there may have been more than one. "I've been fishing for decades, but I've never seen anything like this before," he said. I tell you what, I'm going to post this video as well. When you get the video up there, that's what she said. Start at around 13 minutes, and you'll see the creature for yourself. Big old river monster. Yet the guy still hangs in there. He's like, I'm going to see it for myself. I would have laughed if it would have just grabbed him and drug him under. End of video. All right, we got a couple of biblical mysteries here. A couple of biblical mystery stories. The first one has to do with the Ark of the Covenant. Supposedly, the mystery's been blown wide open now, Mallie.
Okay.
Right? At least that's what the headline says. Ark of the Covenant mystery blown wide open as biblical relic is discovered. Ready for this? Archaeologists have uncovered ruins in Israel that they believe once housed the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred gold-covered chest described in the Bible. According to Scripture, Moses placed the Ten Commandments inside the Ark, which was kept somewhere as my story jumps. I love when the story jumps. It's fun. According to Scripture, Moses placed the Ten Commandments inside the Ark, which was kept in the tabernacle, a sanctuary built shortly after the Israelites' exodus from Egypt, traditionally dated by some scholars to around 1445 BC. Now, the fate of the Ark remains a mystery. It vanishes from the biblical record before the Babylonian sack of Jerusalem in 586 BC. A team is working at the ancient biblical site of Shiloh and has unearthed a stone structure that appears to match the dimensions and orientation of the tabernacle described in the Bible. Dr. Scott Stripling, who is the director of the Tel Shiloh Dig, said, "We've uncovered a monumental building from the Iron One period that matches the biblical dimensions of the tabernacle. The structure is oriented east-west and divided in a 2-to-1 ratio, just as described in Scripture. Adding to the discovery, excavators have also found over 100,000 animal bones, mostly from sheep, goats, and cattle, and predominantly from the right side of the animals, aligning with Leviticus 7, which states that the right side was reserved for priestly offerings. This isn't a coincidence," Dr. Stripling told the Christian Broadcasting Network. "The evidence of sacrificial rituals here is overwhelming, and it matches the biblical account to a degree that's hard to ignore. Pottery found among the bones dates back to the same period, reinforcing the site's connection to the tabernacle era, which the Bible says lasted nearly 400 years before the temple was built in Jerusalem. Shiloh, located in the hill country of Ephraim, is described in the Bible as Israel's first major religious center. It was here, according to the Bible, that Eli, the high priest, presided over the tabernacle during a critical moment in Israel's history. In 1 Samuel 4, the Israelites locked in war with the Philistines and bring the ark to the battlefield in hopes of securing divine favor. The plan disastrously backfires when the Philistines capture the ark and Eli's sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are killed. When a messenger brings word of the defeat back to Shiloh, he finds Eli, 98 years old and near blind, anxiously waiting by the city gate. Upon hearing the ark has been taken, Eli falls backwards from his seat, breaks his neck, and dies. Scriptures emphasizes the significance of the moment, noting he had judged Israel for 40 years. Dr. Stripling now believes his team may have uncovered the very gate where Eli died. That's incredibly interesting. The newly uncovered building at the site also features a massive interior wall dividing the space into two areas. According to Exodus 26, the tabernacle's inner sanctuary, the most holy place or holy of holies, was separated from the outer room by a veil. This inner room housed the Ark of the Covenant and was believed to be the earthly dwelling of God's presence. Leviticus 16:2 warns of the sanctity of the space, stating, "The Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron your brother not to come at any time into the holy place inside the veil before the mercy seat that is on the ark, so that he may not die." This aligns with later references in 2 Samuel 6, which describe the ark as so holy that touching it or even looking inside could result in death. Mishandling the ark was seen as a direct offense to God's presence. Just looking to see if there's more to that story. I don't believe there is. But interesting that they believe that is that. Although some of the comments are very interesting too. There's one comment here, and I'll just be brief with this, that one reader believes the Ark of the Covenant was found in 1982 by Ron Wyatt. He says, research it. And Timothy Hogan, who's been on this program recently as in the last year, told us that there are 14 arks. There's just one of many, and that arks are power batteries for the pyramids, and that they open stargates, which are then allowed to communicate with the gods. Whether you believe that or not, I'll leave that up to you. After all, Mallie, who am I to tell you what to believe? All right, second biblical story, which I alluded to earlier. The Shroud of Turin was laid on a sculpture and not a real body, according to a study. You believe that one?
I don't think so, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Researchers have looked at the way fabric falls when placed over a body to reveal new details about the shroud. Believed by many to be the actual burial cloth of Jesus himself, the Turin Shroud, which is today situated in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy, has long been the subject of intense scrutiny, controversy, and debate. A significant number of researchers have made conflicting claims about that shroud, with some hailing it as authentic and others suggesting that it's either a forgery or not the shroud of Jesus at all. Now, according to a new study, the shroud was most likely not created by being placed on an actual human body, but instead produced by being placed over a low-relief sculpture. The finding comes courtesy of Brazilian 3D digital designer Cicero Moraes, an expert at historical face reconstructions who used computer simulations to show how cloth drapes over a human body. The image of the Shroud of Turin is more consistent with a low-relief matrix, he told Live Science. Such a matrix could have been made of wood, stone, or metal and pigmented or even heated only in the areas of contact, producing the observed pattern. By contrast, the shroud if it were placed on a real body, the image on it would have been much more stretched out than what we actually see on it today. While Moraes tends to favor the idea that the shroud was still created within a funerary context, it is clear from his findings that the imprint was not the result of it being placed over Jesus's body. It is plausible to consider that artists or sculptors with sufficient knowledge could have created such a piece either through painting or low relief, he wrote.
I thought they did testing on it and it was blood.
That's what I thought too. Again, the comments on this are very interesting. So, and a lot of people have answers for this. Some people say, well, Shroud's a hoax. There's one guy here who says, I don't believe the shroud covered Jesus' body because the years describe his burial covering being two parts, one for the body and another or two for the head, not a single piece of cloth. It is written he folded both parts separately, which is kind of a miraculous thing to be added, as if anticipating the future shroud controversy. But neither do I believe its explanation for the shroud's existence, unless or until the actual sculpture used to create it is defined. Why would you, way back then, why would you use a sculpture to create a shroud?
Mm-hmm.
Especially for a rabbi. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Right? I mean, the Jewish people weren't opulent people like that. The Romans were,
mm-hmm.
but not the Jews. Another person named Eli says, Jesus never had a body, so this cloth may have been used by a sculptor as a temporary dust cover for his sculpture, maybe prior to revealing it to the customer in public. That seems like kind of a reach. Antigonus says, since it's been carbon dated, definitely to the Crusader period, this is one of the hypotheses that actually makes sense. Here's the problem with that first sentence, though. They carbon dated the end of the shroud,
mm-hmm.
which was replaced in the Crusader period because it had been burned.
Oh, okay.
So it had been reweaved. So that
mm-hmm.
is actually a false statement. The part that was repaired was carbon dated, not the actual shroud itself, not the original shroud.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who exactly the image represents, but since all the art and architecture of the royal family of Jerusalem was destroyed when the Muslims retook the holy city, including their tombs in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, perhaps the image comes from a funerary monument that depicted one of the kings of Jerusalem, or it could have come from a normal statue that stood somewhere in the royal grounds. See, I'm automatically going to take that one out. I don't believe that one either. I don't know. A lot of people want to believe that the shroud isn't real. But
mm-hmm.
I was talking with someone, I know who it was. It was Ellie Marzulli on the show, who said he has evidence that the shroud is real. And he's going to reveal it here next year. I think it was either the end of this year or next year. So it's interesting. When LA has that evidence ready, we'll bring him on the show.
Okay.
I find the shroud very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. Last week, that Russian volcano exploded. First time
mm-hmm.
in 600 years. Did you see that story?
I didn't see it. I didn't read the story, but I mean, I knew of it.
Here's if you can get through the words that keep coming up on the screen, here's what it kind of looked like.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fascinating story. I'll tell you a little bit about it because it's, that tsunami happened,
mm-hmm.
which affected everyone from our own West Coast to Japan, to Russia, all over the world. Everything quaked. Russian volcano exploded for the first time in 600 years, which sparked tsunami warnings after a catastrophic megaquake. That Russian volcano erupted for the first time in centuries, sending ash surging 29,000 feet into the sky. The volcano roared back to life in the Kamchatka region of eastern Russia after last week's major 8.8 Richter scale earthquake. Imagine that, an 8.8. If you see some of the video, Mallie, from last week of people just shaking from an 8.8, it was amazing. Last week's quake saw tsunami warnings issued across the Pacific Ocean. Pilots have been warned of flight dangers with a red aviation alert after the eruption of, boy, I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing this. Was it Krashenikov? Boy, I slaughtered that one. While it is listed as an active stratovolcano, it has not erupted for around 600 years before observations were made. New footage emerged of the tsunami waves climbing up the land in the remote Kuril Islands. A man and his dog retreating could be seen fleeing as fresh warning was issued following another earthquake of 7 on the Richter scale in eastern Russia. The dramatic footage was captured on Shumshu Island, just off the southern coast of the Kamchatka Peninsula. Vsevolod Yakolev, who is head of the Kronatsky Nature Reserve, said today its eruption is not something out of the ordinary for a region with high volcanic activity. During satellite monitoring, thermal spots have been repeatedly noted in the area of that volcano. This is a significant increase in temperature on the Earth's surface compared to neighboring areas. Tsunami warnings following last week's quake have since been lifted. Ash coated the Kronatsky Nature Reserve, which includes dozens of volcanoes. It's also home to the Valley of the Geysers and has one of the world's largest concentration of brown bears. Russian volcanologist Alexei Ozerov said a crack opened up along the volcano from the top of the crater and steam gas mixture is currently rising from this crack. He said crack. Emissions are occurring and a large amount of ash was ejected during the opening of the crater crack. He said crater crack, Mallie. This ash reached the Valley of the Geysers and, get ready for it, Mallie.
You're going to say crack again?
Oh, the smell of gas.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. A question is immediately raised about the evacuation of the Valley of the Geysers. I almost said the Galley of the Visors. The Valley of the Geysers, those tourists who are there, they went on to say, but according to Russian officials, there was no immediate threat to life or wildlife. The response team said the explosive eruption of the volcano continues. Ash explosions of up to 32,800 feet above sea level could occur at any time. Ongoing activity could affect international and low-flying aircraft. The latest volcanic cloud height was estimated at up to 27,880 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, this thing is exploding. I mean, just exploding. It's unbelievable. Makes Mount St. Helens look like a small little puff of smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Some of the pictures are amazing. Another mystery out there as a plane vanishes between Australia and Tasmania. A search has been launched after a plane disappeared into thin air over the Bass Strait on Saturday evening. According to reports, a man in his 70s and his passenger, a woman in her 60s, had been flying to visit friends in their bright green light aircraft when they vanished without a trace. They've been heading to Hillston Airport in Condyloban in New South Wales at the time. A major search effort has since been launched by the Australian Maritime Safety Authority, or AMSA. Just after 5 p.m. on Saturday evening, concern was raised after the aircraft failed to land in central western NSW after deporting Georgetown, Tasmania around 12:45 p.m., according to a spokesman. The pilot was believed to be highly experienced, though the plane was relatively new to him. No radio communications or mayday signals were sent from the plane before it disappeared. Actually, locating the plane over such a wide area of ocean has already proven challenging. Any body of water is difficult to search. The main thing is, though, that this is still a search operation, the spokesman said. We are hoping to find these people alive. That's the main focus of the search. The public has been asked to keep an eye out for any sign of the missing couple. Keep a lookout for any debris or something as simple as a life jacket or some airplane parts, the spokesman added. We stress that if you find some people in the water and it's safe to do so, please render them assistance. As things stand, the search remains ongoing. Scary stuff, though.
Yeah.
Very much so. All right. We're coming up towards the end of the show here, but we have just, I think, what do we have here? Just one more? No, two more stories before the end of the program here. I teased you earlier about an underwater city off the coast of Cuba that has stone structures 2,000 feet below the sea's surface. A mysterious lost city lying 2,000 feet below the waves of Cuba has baffled scientists for more than 2 decades. Marine engineer Polina Zalitsky and her husband Paul, I believe this is Weinswig, stunned the world when sonar scans revealed huge stone formations on the seabed near the, oh boy, look at the name on here, Guanahasabib's Peninsula. Think I got that right?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
We'll go with it. The images showed what looks like pyramids, circular structures, and massive blocks reminiscent of an urban development, according to BBC News. Some of the stones measured up to 10 feet and appeared deliberately stacked. It's a really wonderful structure, which really looks like it could have been a large urban center, Zalitsky said in 2001. The Canadian team from Advanced Digital Communications estimated the ruins could be more than 6,000 years old, making them older than the Egyptian pyramids. But despite the jaw-dropping find, no follow-up expedition has ever been carried out. While social media users today speculate the ruins are proof of Atlantis, experts remain cautious. It would be totally irresponsible to say what it was before we have evidence, Zalitsky warned back when they were first discovered. Cuban geologist Manuel Iturralde Vincent from the Natural History Museum admitted that the structures were extremely peculiar, but stressed the depth posed a major problem. It's strange, it's weird, and we've never seen something like this before. We don't have any explanation for it, he told the Washington Post. Iturralde estimated that it would take up to 50,000 years for the seabed to sink that far earlier than any known advanced civilization. Michael Fott, an underwater archaeology expert at Florida State University, agreed. He said it would be cool if Zalitsky and Weinswig were right, but it would really be advanced for anything we would see in the New World for that time frame. The structures are out of time and out of place. That's the quote. Other scientists have argued that the formations are likely natural rock structures. Despite skepticism, the discovery continues to fuel conspiracy theories online. Civilizations that existed before the Ice Age, perhaps multiple civilizations that rose and fell, the historical knowledge that has been lost or hidden, one person posted on X. Another claimed there is so much hidden history, finding it so fascinating, everything we've been taught is a lie. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but funding problems and Cuba's strict control over foreign expeditions have also been blamed for the lack of further investigation. A planned dive in 2002 was scrapped, according to U.S. oceanographer Sylvia Earle. Weinswig himself once insisted the structures we found on the side scan sonar simply are not explicable from a geological point of view. There's too much organization, too much symmetry, and too much repetition of form. Another underwater enigma, often compared to Cuba's lost city, is the Yonaguni Monument off Japan's coast. Discovered in the 1980s, the massive stone formation sits around 90 feet underwater and features sharp-angled steps and terraces that appear man-made. Tests of the rock show it could be more than 10,000 years old. If carved by humans, it would date back to a time before the last ice age, a theory that, like the Cuban ruins, continue to divide experts over whether it's a natural formation or evidence of a vanished civilization. It's kind of interesting, though, Mallie, to think that there's not just one, but maybe multiple undersea kingdoms out there that are just sitting there, or even just ruins of cities that have dove underneath the surface, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Be nice to see if maybe we could get to them, even in our lifetimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got this story from more than one person this week, and it's kind of an interesting little story. A radioactive wasp nest was found at a site where the U.S. once made nuclear bombs.
Oh.
I don't know about you, but wasps are bad enough. Radioactive wasps, I'm out. Right?
Sounds like some 1950s sci-fi movie.
Yeah. And one where, and then the kicker would be if the government decided to weaponize them.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they were put on the side of evil. We go to Columbia, South Carolina, where workers at a site in South Carolina that once made key parts for nuclear bombs in the U.S. have found a radioactive wasp nest. But officials said there's no danger to anyone. Employees who routinely check radiation levels at the Savannah River site near Aiken found a wasp nest on July 3rd on a post near tanks where liquid nuclear waste was stored, according to a report from the U.S. Department of Energy. The nest had a radiation level 10 times of what's allowed by federal regulations. Yikes.
And that's not dangerous. Okay.
No, not at all. The workers sprayed the nest with insect killer, removed it, and disposed of it as radioactive waste. By the way, no wasps were found, at least not yet.
Yet.
Yeah.
Keyword.
Yeah. The report said there was no leak from the waste tanks, and the nest was likely radioactive through what it called on-site legacy radioactive contamination from the residual radioactivity left from when the site was fully operational. So you could throw that thing at somebody and they would light up like a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
The watchdog group Savannah River Site Watch said the report was at best incomplete since it doesn't detail where the contamination came from and how the wasps might have encountered it, and the possibility then that there could be another radioactive nest if there's a leak somewhere. So there could be more than one, Mallie. Knowing the type of wasp nest could also be critical. Some wasps make nests out of dirt and others different material, which could pinpoint where the contamination came from. Tom Clements, executive director of the group, wrote in a text message. I'm glad it was a text message, not a full report. I'm as mad as a hornet that SRS didn't explain where the radioactive waste came from or if there's some kind of leak from the waste tanks that the public should be aware of, Clements said. I'm glad he got all Southern on the bit. The tank farm is well inside the boundaries of the site, and wasps generally fly just a few hundred yards from their nests, so there's no danger that they are outside the facility, according to a statement from Savannah River Mission Completion, which now oversees the site. If there had been wasps found, they'd have significantly lower levels of radiation than their nests, according to the statement, which was given to the Aiken Standard. So they're not giant Hulk wasps flying around, thank God. The site was opened in the early 1950s to manufacture the plutonium pits needed to make the core of the nuclear bombs during the start of the Cold War with the Soviet Union. Now the site has shifted toward making fuel for nuclear plants and cleanup. The site generated more than 165 million gallons of liquid nuclear waste, which has, through evaporation, been reduced to about 34 million gallons, according to Savannah River Mission Completion. There are still 43 of the underground tanks in use, while 8 have been closed. So sleep well, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Radioactive wasps. Something fun to think about tonight when you're trying to get to sleep. Last story before our palate cleanser, the Milwaukee lion mystery resurfaces with a new big cat sighting in Wisconsin. We had talked a couple weeks ago about the fact that big cats don't exist in Wisconsin, but evidently this one does. 10 years ago, a sighting of a lion in Milwaukee prompted a major citywide hunt involving hundreds of people. The infamous incident began on July 20th of 2015 when a woman called police to report seeing a large cat in the 200 block of East Garfield Avenue in Brewers Hill. The report sparked a major hunt, which involved, among other things, law enforcement officials patrolling the city with long guns and meat traps being set up to tempt the creature. But no cheese curds. I mean, you should probably think about that too. Multiple people reported sightings of the animal, and each time a new report came in, authorities would scramble to reach the location before the creature moved on. At one point, they believed they had cornered that lion, but somehow it managed to slip away. My guess is it turned on a Packer game. Everybody went, oh, look, the Packers are on. And then the lion just ran away. See how I did that, Mallie?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I do.
Ultimately, the creature was never caught and nobody knew what happened to it. Now, however, almost exactly 10 years later, new reports have started to emerge of a large cat in Milwaukee's Riverside Park, prompting a fresh round of speculation and intrigue. But now is there really a lion out there again is the claim. But is it really a lion at all but a large dog? That's what they're wondering. Well, others have pointed out that some wild animals can sometimes venture into urban areas. It's also possible that these creatures have escaped from zoos or private collectors. So it could be that as well. Stories of large exotic cats are not unusual, even in the UK, but there have been reports of panthers or some other similar beasts dating back decades. Exactly what accounts for the Milwaukee sightings, however, remains unclear. My guess is find another lion and, have them chat it up. You'll know exactly what it is. There you go.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. All right. And our palate cleanser for today has to do with exactly, if I can get the story up here, that's what she said. Has to do exactly with the sound of what that creature should make, right?
Okay.
Here's the deal. We've all seen that certain summer blockbuster that started out our summer, right? Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
And we all think we know what a dinosaur sounds like, right?
Yes.
I mean, you have the idea. You sit down in your seat at the theater and you say to yourself, well, I know what a dinosaur sounds like, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that, roar, right?
Yes.
And you think, well, if I ever saw a dinosaur and it roared at me, I'd probably crap myself.
Mm-hmm.
But if I told you that a particular dinosaur, if it came up to you and went, tweet, 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 you probably would be less than impressed, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a new discovery in China that could push the evolutionary origins of birdsong back millions of years, because they're saying that there's a certain dinosaur out there that chirped like a bird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. The findings suggest that the evolutionary origins of birdsong may be far more ancient than we previously thought. In a paper published last week in the journal Peer J, an international team of researchers described a 63 million year old fossil found in northeast China's Hebei province. The fossil dinosaur, which they've dubbed Pulausaurus King Long, measures just 28 inches, Mallie, 72 centimeters, and is largely complete, giving researchers an unusually detailed look at its anatomy, including its surprisingly bird-like throat. Isn't that cute? Even when you have a dinosaur skeleton preserved, you don't always have these isolated bones preserved with other skull elements. Xing Zhu, a paleontologist at the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing and an author of the paper, told the New York Times, they're very thin bones, very delicate and hard to preserve. In vertebrates, the vocal organs protect the airway and can produce sounds including basic noises like hisses, groans, and grunts. In most living reptiles, these structures are made of cartilage and are relatively simple. Birds, however, have delicate, bony, flexible vocal organs that can make more complicated and diverse sounds. Pulausaurus's throats seem somewhere between the two. its vocal structures appear to be similar to that of another dinosaur. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Pinacosaurus, a kind of, I believe it is an ankylosaur, with a large bony larynx that may have been flexible enough to produce bird-like chirps and tweets, the researchers told the Times, does exactly that. The researchers believe the Pulausaurus lived during the late Jurassic period and belonged to the same group of creatures that would later give rise to duck-billed dinosaurs like hadrosaurs. But Pulausaurus and Pinacosaurs are separated by millions of years of evolution, and neither belong to the group of dinosaurs that eventually produced birds. So unlike birds, they just chirped, but they weren't really birds.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But they just looked funny when they chirped. But they were tiny. Mm-hmm. They're tiny little guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that means that the origins of birdsong could lie in creatures that lived more than 230 million years ago, but it remains a mystery as to how or when modern birds' voice boxes, called the syrinx, evolved, or if any dinosaurs shared their incredible vocal prowess. So cavemen may have woke up in the morning, stretched, and listened to the beautiful song of a dinosaur. How's that for a palate cleanser?
It's a great palate cleanser.
You seem unimpressed. You're like, that's a great palate cleanser. Yeah. Well, it's something.
It's something, all right.
It's something, all right. Oh, boy. Well, that'll do it for today's program. I figured I'd leave you with a little bit of song, Mallie, but that's about as much song as I had.
Okay.
I'm not going to sing, but the dinosaur did. So that'll do it for today. On tomorrow's program, we're going to do a bit of a postmortem on the weekend from the Palmer house. Lots of stuff happened, Mallie. In fact, when I told Mallie off air a little bit of what happened. Mm-hmm. Let's put it this way. Your boy has been called the paranormal cooler in the past. It was far from that up at the Palmer house this past weekend. I don't know why, but this weekend was the weekend that the spirits decided they wanted to pick on Timmy. So we'll talk a little bit about that on tomorrow's program with Tim and Lauren Miley and with psychic medium Scotty Rorick.
The Palmer did not disappoint.
No. It came loaded for bear. We'll talk about it on tomorrow's program with those guests. So that'll do it there. By the way, if you're listening to this program, you're not watching this program, we encourage you to do so by either going to YouTube and looking for the original Darkness Radio, or just click on the program you're looking for at darknessradioshow.com and watching the program for yourself. We appreciate it if you do so. And if you like the program, like and subscribe, please. We'd like to welcome you in on the visual side of things on YouTube. Also, one other thing, we are working in partnership with Mysterious Adventures Tours. There are 2 tours right now that we encourage you to sign up for because they're both once-in-a-lifetime type tours. Brian J. Cano is going to Ireland for Halloween. You can get in on that right now. You can go see the Fae Folk for Halloween and take advantage of the Puka Festival, which is where Halloween began. And you want to talk about a once-in-a-lifetime type trip. Brian was on this program last week talking about it, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. The other trip, which sounds like it's out of this world, is going with the great-grandnephew of Bram Stoker to Dracula's castle, Bran Castle, for Halloween in Romania for 11 days. Talk about a trip and a dream come true. Mm-hmm. That trip available, and we've got both trips in the description of this program. We've got links to both of them, so you can take advantage of that. Both trips you can put on a payment plan, an easy to pay payment plan, so that you can break it down and know that you can make it easily digestible, so you can go on either or. So take advantage of it. Treat yourself this holiday season. And you know what? Go. Just go. Life is short, right? I mean, you got to get out there and take advantage and go with one of two great hosts that is going to not only take care of your group, but is going to be there with you every step of the way and help you get the most out of that experience, either in Romania or in Ireland. So take advantage. Go click on the link. Go see what there is to offer and see what is waiting for you in Romania and Ireland. All right, folks. That'll do it for today. Mallie, have anything to offer or talk about before we leave?
Nope, just a busy summer.
Right on. All right, so tomorrow, Tim and Lauren Miley and Scotty Rorick will talk about the Pottergrass for Pooch's trip to the Palmer this past weekend, and we'll tell you about all the spooky experiences that happened up there. If you weren't up there, well, we'll fill you in. We'll let you know how you can get in on some of the other trips for Pottergrass for Pooch's coming up this year and next. Boy, I'm telling you folks, you missed out this past weekend, but we'll tell you how you can get in on more this coming year. All right, for Mallie Fox, I'm Tim Dennis. Join us tomorrow. Pottergrass for Pooch's 3. It's coming up tomorrow right here on The Best in Paranormal Podcasting. This is Darkness Right.